Question 17. Work out the length of AD. Give your answer correct to three significant figures. So, AD is the length that goes from A to D. And the first thing we check, and it is unlikely at this point of a higher paper, question 17, is whether there's a right angled triangle anywhere. So I might be using Pythagoras, and there isn't. And I might be using SOHCAHTOA for right angle trig, but there isn't. So that's always my first thing I check. Then we look at it and think, right, if I think about the sine rule and the cosine rule, if I know this side, BD, I am then going to be able to work out AD using the cosine rule. Now, even though this question is question 17, we're getting near the end of the paper. That's quite a common type of question where you have to work out one length, say using the sine rule, to then work out another one using the cosine rule or vice versa. So it's worth getting used to this question. Now, if this is capital letter C, in this triangle down here, DBC, just for this part of the question, I'm going to call that line C, and this line is little b, and that line is little d. If I can work out C here, the length BD, I will then be able to use the cosine rule to work out AD. From my knowledge of the sine rule, I know that C over sine 34, so it's the angle opposite, will be the same as 12.5 over sine 109, the ratio there. Showing the examiner I know about the sine ratio will pick me up a mark. So C is going to be 12.5 over sine 109 times sine 34. It then just becomes a challenge of typing the right numbers in your calculator. You should get 7.39 centimeters. So this length here is 7.39 centimeters. And the correct value of 7.39 gets me the second mark. I'm now, and I'm lucky I can just cross that value out now because it's no longer the triangle of interest. I'm now looking at the triangle ABD. So I'm going to rename this side, so it's opposite capital A. So this will be little a. This side is little b. And this side is little d. And what I want to work out is AD. And just in case you're a little bit unsure, this is the triangle I'm using here. This one. So this triangle down here, I'm no longer interested in. So now it's just a case of whether you know and can apply your formula. And in this case, it's the cosine rule. So b squared, this side here I want, is a squared plus d squared. So the other two sides of the triangle. You can almost see a bit of Pythagoras in here. Minus 2ad cos b. If you don't know your formula, when you get into the exam, you're going to drop marks. So please learn your formula. So I'm just substituting in the values of a and d. Minus, I'm going to drop down a line here because I've run out of room, 2 times 7.39 times 11.4 times cos 86. Reaching this point picks you up a third mark. And now it's a question of pushing the right buttons. And b squared is 172.819 centimeters. and there's our fourth mark. And the final mark is we're taking the square root of that to work out the length of B, or AD as the question wanted, which is 13.1. Don't forget it says corrected 3 significant figures, so it's 13.1. That will pick me up by fifth mark. There will be a range of values that will be accepted depending on how you round to 7.39 and the 172.819 here, and they are anything from 13.1 to 13.2 inclusive.